The tyres aren't the absolute best for this sort of driving, but they hang on pretty good. And you can actually feel that it is rear wheel drive. It'll start to kick the tail out if you get on the power a bit early. Here's a lesson in why playing around with heritage is never a good idea. This is the Ford Mustang Mach-E. Clearly, it's not a Mustang. The Mustang, for more than 50 years, has been a sporty, low-slung two-door coupe or convertible, often with a big V8. Never a jumped-up, weird-looking four-door thing with eco-focused anything. Yet here we are with the Mach-E. Sales are not off to a good start in Australia. So far this year, through January and February, just 125 new examples have been registered, according to VFAX. The Kia EV6, which is a pretty similar car that competes in the same class, has almost 4 times the sales. So let's pretend for a minute this doesn't wear a Mustang badge. It's a fairly large, very practical electronic car that's offered with rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. And you can even get a really fast one called the GT. Now it doesn't seem so bad, does it? Inside, it's all very practical and spacious, with some hints of sportiness. There's a huge touchscreen, which looks like a computer monitor that's been pushed on its side, and lots of space and storage pockets around the centre console. We quite like the thin gauge cluster screen. It's a bit tacky, but also kinda cool in its simplicity. The driving position isn't that great though, and the seats are very flat. However, this example is the base model, called the Select. Rear passenger space is good, certainly better than any real Mustang, with decent width for 3 adults and respectable headroom for a 4-door coupe. Climate vents and charging ports should keep everyone happy. Some of the interior trim is a bit basic and monotone, but this isn't a luxury car, although technically it competes with products such as the Audi Q7 and Porsche Cayenne. Yep, we don't understand that either. Boot space, again, is very good and practical, perfect for the weekly shopping or a decent holiday road trip with a bunch of people or kids. You've also got some storage under the bonnet at the front, which is perfect for wet towels and swim gear. Underneath the body is a 71 kWh battery, providing power to a 198 kW rear axle motor. It provides a driving range of 470 kilometers. 0 to 100 apparently takes 6.6 seconds, which is quite brisk, hot hatch territory. So without the Mustang badge, it's actually a pretty good package. This is what it goes like. Out on the road, you've got a number of different driving modes to choose from. The Whisper mode is very quiet, and it doesn't seem to have that much regenerative braking. And then the active mode is kind of like a default mode. It feels pretty sporty, and you do have a little bit of regen. And then the Untamed mode, throttle response is definitely sharpened up, and also the brake regen is a more aggressive. So when you're going around corners like on roads like this, you don't really have to use the brakes as much, because it will do the regen will help you slow down a bit just as you're going in between the corners. So we'll leave it in Untamed mode for this. And then there's also a 1-pedal driving mode. I leave that off because I find it a little bit too aggressive, not just in this Mustang Mach-E, but just in general. I find them a little bit too aggressive. And in Untamed mode, the regen is quite good. It's quite strong anyway, so it doesn't matter so much. You've also got a propulsion sound system, so when you accelerate, you've got this sort of futuristic hum. It does come in higher speeds rather than how much throttle you're actually giving. I'll leave that off just for the peace and quiet. So being a Mustang vehicle, it's clearly got the Mustang badge everywhere. It's at least suggesting that it is a bit sporty. And it does feel quite sporty. This is the base rear-wheel drive model, so it's not promising anything incredible in terms of driving performance or anything like that, but it does feel quite engaging and fun to drive. The suspension is soft and absorbent, so it absorbs bumps on roads like this very, very well, but it's not too rigid at all to be driven around the city in comfort. In tighter corners, yeah, the front end feels fairly sharp and precise. The tyres aren't the absolute best for this sort of driving, but they hang on pretty good. and you can actually feel that it is rear wheel drive. It'll start to kick the tail out if you get on the power a bit early, and it sort of just throws the back around as you're going around the corner. It's quite nice, but it doesn't drift exactly like a conventional petrol car, because as soon as you back off on the throttle, it'll give you that brake regen. So if you're mid-drift and you back off, the last thing you want is, you know, the brakes being, or the wheels slowing down really quickly. Whereas in a sort of petrol car or a turbo car especially, you can play with the throttle a bit and it will keep spinning the wheels. So it's just a new way of driving you have to learn, I guess. But this isn't, you know, this isn't a drift machine. It's not intending to be, but I think it's got to be a bit sporty, and it is. It definitely is. It feels engaging, and it feels like it wants to go around corners with a bit of energy and enthusiasm. I'll turn the traction control off. And it does feel like it's got a limited slip diff type of drive system, because it doesn't spin away the inside wheel at all. It'll try to hook up both wheels most of the time. The tight corner up here, we'll try it, giving it a bit of power. Yeah, see, it's a 200 kilowatt motor thereabouts, and if I was, you know, if it just had an open diff and I gave it full power, that should have spun the inside wheel away, because I put it into a situation where it, you know, that rear wheel is very unweighted, but it didn't spin. So yeah, it hangs on really well. It's got great grip. Even though these tires aren't performance tires, you can still have a bit of fun on a spirited road. Yeah, overall, look, it's definitely got some sporty underlying heritage that I can feel here. Whether it's going to please traditional Mustang owners or not, I don't know. It doesn't have the V8 sound. You know, it's not going to do the line lock feature and drag race and all that sort of thing. But it's a new style of vehicle that does at least showcase some level of enthusiasm. I like the way it handles. I think it feels really nice to drive. The steering is quite sharp, and the rear wheel drive setup, you can feel that it is rear wheel drive. It doesn't just feel like a generic electric, you know, pod that you're just driving along. So it does have that. But yeah, I just don't know about this Mustang badge. Maybe if they called it something else, it might actually attract more people. But yeah, calling it a Mustang is a very bold move. I understand Ford needs to transition to electric powertrains, but yeah, I just don't know if this is the vehicle that can replace the Mustang. Maybe they should have made a two-door coupe, you know, rear-wheel drive, lots of power, that still has, you know, line lock functions and things like that, but it's just fully electric. Maybe that would have been a better avenue, or maybe this is just a stepping stone. We'll just have to see. All right, let's go out and do the performance testing now and see what it goes like.